Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, good night, good everything. My name is Jason Weiss, and you are here with me on the Ask Jason Weiss Show. I am an attorney, I am a coach, and I am soon to be an author because I am writing my first books, and I am very excited. Today, I have with me a good friend and a colleague of mine named Michael Zanetti. Now, as most of you know, I am an attorney. However, anything and everything said today is not legal advice. And Mike is also in the financial world. So nothing on this is financial advice. If you want finance stuff, call Mike. But don't listen to anything we say today. You have not retained us. We are not your attorneys. We are not your advisors. We are just your hosts today. So without further ado, I want to bring on Michael Zanetti, who I get to speak to a couple of times a week. Unfortunately, I don't get to look at him like I do now. Good looking guy, knows his stuff. He's like really tall and he's muscular and he's got great family and all this stuff. So Mike is just an all around great guy. And he's going to talk to us today a little bit about financial security for all. What that means, I have no clue, but Mike knows all about it. Finances, security, has a law background. So, and he's down here in South Florida with me. So without any further ado, Michael Zanetti, father of 4.
11.
What'd you say?
Once you're past your first 3, I think you stop counting.
I know, but you always got to love all 4 of them. So, father of 4, and he's partnered up with one of my close friends. So Mike is a strong individual. So Michael Zanetti, financial security for all. Tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Sure. So I grew up in New York, had no background in finance whatsoever, which is uncommon for people in New York. So I grew up with a lower middle class background. Basically got into a good school because I was an athlete, not because I had great grades, but I was smart enough to take advantage of the education. And from that, you said it right, I went to law school. I've worked in the financial industry for a long time. I am no longer a financial advisor. I don't do licensed financial advice. I don't do any of that stuff. I was at one point. But I've gotten away from all of that. I see bigger picture stuff now. I do a lot of individual business consulting. We do turnaround consulting for either businesses that are startups or businesses that are struggling. We met each other through one of those businesses, which is ironic enough.
Yep.
And basically, the direction that we've gone in the last, I would say, 5 to 7 years is we believe there's a gap that's happened in the market. We were raised, you and I are very close in age. We were raised with a mindset of you go to school, you get good grades, you get out of school, you get a good job. That job is your financial security for the rest of your life, right? And at the ripe age of 62, or they changed it to 65, you get a gold Rolex and you have pension payments for the rest of your life, right? There are so few jobs that have that anymore. They're fighting to take away pensions for teachers. Okay, so imagine now that we live in this different world. You and I see it, but our kids are now in an even different world than that. I've heard some things thrown around. People talk about the gig economy. They talk about people being contractors and this. I think that's only the start of it. I think there's a different mindset now towards loyalty, both from an employer and an employee standpoint. I think that dramatically affects household incomes. It dramatically affects financial security. And let's be frank, it dramatically affects yours, mine, and other people's mental health.
Well, you can be Frank. I'm going to be Jason because it is my show. And you can be Mike and Frank, or frankly,
Fine.
You can be Mike. But yeah, I agree with that. Look, we both have teenagers, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's something, I said to my son, what do you want to do? Oh, I want to go play lacrosse on the Ivy level. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then what? I want to do business. Well, what does that mean? Well, I want to open a company. And what are you going to sell? I don't know. What are you going to buy? Real estate. You're going to buy real estate with whose money? I don't know. So,
Right.
and that's the mindset. And I think it really came out, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it really started to shine during COVID. And the reason I say that is everybody, everywhere you went was talking about COVID and I'm stuck at home and all this. And what was the two word that everybody was talking about? Side hustle or side gig.
Yep.
And turn your side hustle or your side gig into money. And that's what it was all about. And I think it was great because it spurned innovation. It spurned, entrepreneurship and all this. But then you go, now that we're up and running and you do all this, I was at a Chick-fil-A recently, and on the door, it said, please be kind to our employees who were, I think, strong enough or proud enough or loyal enough or whatever the word was to show up to work today. Think about it, right? I mean,
that's the gap I'm talking about. That's exactly the gap I'm talking about.
And we didn't even script this.
No.
So
when did that happen? When did that transition happen where it became, we're just happy people showed up?
I think it happened post PPP money to people. The government gave a lot of free money. And I don't want to talk politics.
I was going to say, this is a non-political
This is non-politics. It's factual. The government gave people money. It could have been 500. It could have been 3,000. It could have been 3,000 times 2, whatever it is. The government tried bailing us out. And a lot of people decided not to go back to work. Why? Because they say to themselves, look, I'm sitting home with my family, doing things, enjoying my life, and I'm making more than I would have if I go back to my job.
With no windshield time, with no stress, with no... So one of the first things, and I have a background in psychology. My undergraduate, one of my undergraduate degrees is actually in psychology. And I love the field of psychology and how...
wait, where'd you get this wonderful degree from? All your
Brown University.
Brown University.
Go Bears.
Yep. And hey, that's one of the schools my son is heavily looking at. So,
And I can tell you, so I had a professor, and I can tell you, Joachim Kruger, and I don't even know if he still teaches there, but I remember sitting in the class, and he said the strongest understanding about how to direct people is to not force them, but is to affect their motivations. Okay. And he said, the harder you push, you'll receive pushback. But when you dangle the carrot, the donkey moves. Right. So if the motivation, the incentive is to make money, which we all need to survive, let's not BS this. We all need money, and each of us need different amounts, but there are certain basic things that we need. And in order to get them, we need money, because in the society we live in, there's very few people that live completely off grid and self-sufficient. It's almost unheard of in our society, right? So if our incentive starts with money, and then the step to getting that incentive is theoretically work of some type, right? But you take away the need for the work step and you insert free. Where is the incentive to do the work?
There is none.
There.
And,
right?
and I think what happened was I don't want to say spoiled. That's the wrong word. But
that's the right word. No, that's the right word. We spoil people's mental engagement to want to go do things. You spoil your kid, they don't value what $1 is.
You are correct.
I'm guilty of it. I have a daughter, okay? I have one daughter, and I can tell you that one is enough. Because daughters, they spend money like crazy, and you can't say no to me. I have trouble saying no to my wife. You think I can say no to my daughter? Are you kidding me?
Now, my daughter, she never wants anything. So the occasional time when she says, Dad, can I have, or can I please? The answer is yes. My son, he's the spender of the two. He'll be like, yeah, I decided to go out with friends with dinner, and you always pick up the bill for friends, so I picked up the bill. Dude, no, I don't need to treat 16-year-old boys to yard.
You don't want to. I know how much those food bills look like. Trust me, I got teenage boys and teenage athletes. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I think part of the problem is, and I'm not knocking people, it's just human nature. People were getting paid to stay home and not work. And they could start with their
Yes.
side hustle, and their side hustle, be it be making candles, making art,
It doesn't matter
selling
what it
drop
is.
ship, doing all this. It was
Doesn't matter
there,
what it is.
and you didn't need that income. That was extra money. That was, okay, now I could go ahead and order the Lego set I wanted, or I could, put the lights on my car, or I could do, I could plan a trip.
So it's interesting because I've always believed, and this is my personal outlook. This isn't something that I was taught. This is just my personal perception.
So this is not financial or legal advice.
Not,
All of our listeners and
no.
watchers,
This is personal.
This is Mike Zanetti's personal belief, not opinion, belief. Okay, now go ahead.
Can I go? Okay, perfect. Do we need to put a disclaimer across the screen?
Nope, we're good. Okay, we're good.
So I always believe that there's a natural time. Let's call it time, effort, energy in one box. And that directly correlates, right, on the graph to the amount of money that you earn. Okay. Lawyers charge a per hour rate. Okay. If you are going to work, if you hire a construction company, there's a certain amount of work that has to be completed, and there's a charge for that work. And there's theoretically a balance between the time, effort, and energy that's required, and skill, mental skill, and the return, right? The capital that's on it. And obviously, if that's a correlation, all of us are motivated to get the maximum return for the minimum amount of time, effort, and energy. Fair enough? I mean, we can all die. I think that's pretty agreeable. So if you start making it, so I don't need skills, I don't need time, effort, or energy, and I get money. As long as I get a certain amount, I'm pretty damn good with it. Right? I'm okay with it. Now, of course, there's more. There's a natural human incentive that's greed. We like to spend money. We like more things, and I'm not talking about the Ferrari. I'm talking about, I want to eat lobster instead of eating, chicken.
Ramen.
Right. Or ramen. Right. So that's those stages. We, at least theoretically, right, capitalist society, are motivated to create a more efficient use of our time, effort, and energy. So when you talk about things like side hustles, and you Google side hustle, what do you see? You see the highest motivations that they're addressing are use your time super effectively, right? So we have a company that teaches trading. One of our companies teaches people how to day trade and how to trade options. Okay.
And what company is that?
Targettrading.co. Nice plug, by the way. I like how you snuck that in there.
Targettrading.co. It teaches trading. So all of you people that want to be a day trader as a side hustle, take a class, learn what it's about. Okay, right. So targettrading.co. All right, so trading. Go ahead.
Nice plug, by the way. I love that. So understand, though, not everyone can day trade. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you. It's a skill. It's a certain skill. And now, one of the best things you can learn is that Jason Weiss can't day trade, and he shouldn't waste time, effort, energy, and money trying to learn further how to do it, right? I can tell you point blank, there's certain skills that I have that I'm very, very good at. And there's other things that I'm horrible at. And rather than going out there and trying to build skills and balance myself out, right? I can take the things that I'm good at and try to make them better. Right? So that I get a higher and more efficient use of my time, effort, and energy towards that money. Does that make sense?
It does 100%. And the flip side is, especially if it's something you don't like, right? I personally love going out and working in my yard. I love it. I love to plant. I love to garden. I'll even pull the weeds. I'll do all of that. But I don't want to go out every other Saturday and cut the lawn. So I have a lawn service. They cut the lawn. They trim the bushes, they do that, but they don't touch my garden. I don't pay the extra because to me, the hour a day I spend doing it is worth it. It's not worth it for me to go out and buy a lawnmower and after 100 cuts, I save money, but it's not worth it.
But the money's not worth the time. And that's the next step. So one of the things that and then again, this is my personal perspective on this. I have a certain dollar per hour that I'm worth to myself. Okay. I'm not talking about what I bill out to customers. I'm talking about dollar per hour. Okay. And this is a very different mindset. It's very linear for a lot of people. They don't think this way. And I didn't used to think this way. And I started to sort of develop this because I realized there's a difference between hiring a guy to do my lawn because it's the cost of paying him is less than what my dollar is versus the disincentive. Okay. You are not incentivized to do it. And it doesn't cost so much to hire him that it's not worth it. Does that make sense? So he falls
100%.
into that bracket of people. It makes more sense to hire your lawn guy than for you to go out and do it, because you can do better things with your time and it doesn't attain your level of $250 an hour, $300 an hour, whatever your dollar per hour rate is. Everyone's is different, by the way. I want to be clear about that.
Correct.
Right.
And it also has to do with that even if my dollar rate was $250 an hour, but I liked going ahead and cutting my lawn, then I'm going to do it. I know an NFL football player who is retired, who was very successful, never has to worry about money. And one of the first things he did when he retired is he bought himself a ride-on mower.
Because he liked to mow his lawn.
His own lawn.
I love it.
Alabama or Mississippi, one of these states where he lives, because to him, that's something he likes. Now, he probably doesn't do his pool. He probably doesn't do, but he enjoys it. Look, if you enjoy doing something, then why hire someone to do it, regardless of the cost? If you like grilling hamburgers, go grill hamburgers.
Exactly. I do the trim work in my house. Okay. And it's not because I'm a master carpenter. Okay. It's because I enjoy the mental focus that it takes to do the correct cuts, to do to work the angles, to think about how pieces have to integrate to each other. I enjoy the mental exercise. It's ridiculously slow and it's time inefficient for me to do it. Okay. Right. But like you said, I enjoy it. So again, that scale becomes really important, because at a certain point, the time, effort, and energy, the effort part isn't there because it's no effort. I actually enjoy the activity. Yep. Right.
And my same thing with my wife in painting, right? She likes to paint. She will buy the gallon of paint. She will paint the room. But I know for a fact that she hates painting bathrooms. So we have a bathroom in my daughter's room. So she painted my daughter's room. She painted my son's room. And then she said, I ain't doing the bathrooms. I hired a painter to do the bathrooms. So that's what it was. Look, I like going to Home Depot and shopping. So the painter said, I'll go pick up the paint. I'm like, no, I'll go to Sherman-Williams. It's right down the street from Home Depot. Don't worry about it. I got it.
So when you have that mindset, right? So this is where this gets interesting with the formula of dollar figures and stuff. So we have activities that we enjoy. We have things that have what we would say theoretically a return on investment, right? So our return on investment is, if I put in time, effort, and energy in this activity, I get a certain yield, right? So when I started looking at different side hustles, because just like everybody else that's out there, I'm looking for other things, right? And I'm looking at Amazon stores, I'm looking at drop shipping, I'm looking at different things. And I'm out there looking and I'm computing the amount of time that it takes and what my potential return is versus that effort factor, because that effort factor is important. If it's fun, then it's not really an effort.
And that's why I'm constantly saying to those that I work with, if you do what you love, you're not working.
Yes.
It's not work.
Yes.
So speaking of not work, which is what we're doing right now because we're on here, let's go ahead. Let's break to commercial, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about more financial and all of this. You can always find Mike at Zanetti, Zanetti Consulting.com. He also mentioned targettrading.co. And we will be back and we'll talk more about making money, side hustles, and all this great stuff. And we go from there. So, Cece, we're ready for our commercial break. Mike, sit tight, and audience, sit tight. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm John Thomas. I want to share with you a professional products and services directory we call Going Solo Directory. And you need to check this out. If you want exposure to your business or are seeking professional product or services, this directory has it all. And that membership, for the many special features, you get the benefit of a worldwide exposure with a 40-minute video interview on an international business show showcase. All this for just one low annual fee. For more information, contact GoingSoloDirectory.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Ask Jason Weiss. I am your host. Although I am an attorney, nothing is legal advice. And although Mr. Zanetti, who is our guest today, is in the financial world, nothing is financial or legal advice from either one of us. So we were talking about side hustles and bridging the gap and the gap income and all this. And my biggest side hustle right now, Mike, is trying to assist my son in his college recruiting, because as everybody who's listened before knows, my son is a junior in high school, and it's official that he's allowed to be reached out to. He's been reached out to a couple of schools, and he's fielding phone calls, and my side hustle is basically just coaching him through it. And I know, Mike, you've been through it personally and with kids, so you get it, and you're a great resource. So anybody that wants to talk sports and recruiting, Mike knows that. But let's get back into the I guess the ROI is the best way to put it, meaning return on investment.
Right.
Someone said it yesterday that every day you wake up with like 17,000 something, and I think it was seconds in a day. And every day, that's what it is. How do you want to do that? What is the value of each second, each minute, each hour? And you got to figure it out. And again, I said it. I love one of the things I like doing is growing, roasting, and brewing coffee. It's less expensive to do it than to go and buy Starbucks and all of this. But going into Starbucks, I could just pull in and walk out with my cup.
Right.
It takes a whole process. But why? I enjoy it. It's the first thing I do in the morning. It helps me wake up. I smell that coffee. I'm like, all right, body, time to wake up.
Yep.
And I think the younger generation, I'm mid to late 40s. So the younger generation always had it, I guess, righter, if that's not the right word, but righter than us. Meaning I've had people that worked with me in the past that 5:30 rolls around and they're like, oh, it's 5:30, I'm off to the gym. Well, what about your work? I'll get to it tomorrow.
Yep.
Well, and these are the people that didn't care about, you mentioned a Ferrari. Their aspiration wasn't driving a Ferrari, isn't owning a 10-bedroom home and a 7, bathroom home. That's not their aspiration. Their aspiration is pay the rent, do whatever, have money to travel, and be able to go out, eat, and work out. And that I can't disagree with that mindset, but it doesn't resonate with me.
Right. So a lot of what you're saying, and this is a conversation, I have this conversation regularly with my kids, but I when I step into my different companies, I treat a lot of my employees as we're very close. The culture of all of my companies is very close personnel. I know about their lives. I know who's having babies, who's doing this. I mean, I just have a very close understanding with my employees. I don't even like using that word, right? With the people that I work with. Yeah, but the people I work with. Yeah, my team members, the people that I work with. Yeah. And I'm going to use one guy as an example. He is a very good salesman, very good. There's a difference between a quality salesman and someone who comes across a little sleazy. This guy doesn't come across sleazy. He's a very good salesman. He knows how to motivate people to get them to the sale. He understands how to have a good quality consultative conversation, okay? He said, my wife wants to move to France. You know what my answer was? Can you do everything you're doing here from France? Yes. So you know what he did? He lives in France. He's got a lake house. Okay. He gets up in the mornings and walks out to his lake and does his thing, and he gets his work prep for the day. He works a full business day with me, puts up great numbers every month. All right. But he lives in France. And that's what he decided he wanted to do. We had another guy work for me for a long time. He was traveling constantly, but you know what? During the work hours, he was in front of his computer. He was on the phone. He was on cruises. He was in Colombia. He was in Mexico. He was all over the place, but he was getting the work done. You just said something, and I couldn't agree with you more. The younger generation, in my opinion, has it mentally understood better. They're looking first at what makes them happy and then building around it an infrastructure. I think, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I think I was sold a lie when I was younger. Okay. And the lie was get good grades, go to a good college, you'll have a great career, and you'll have a family, and you'll have all these things. Right. So I did have a good career. It was miserable though. It was absolutely miserable. I was working big corporate. I'm not going to name any names, but big corporate. I worked right up the ladder, right? Got everything done. I was making insane money, but it wasn't worth it. I was miserable every day when I got up. I talked to my son about it, and the first thing out of his mouth is, I don't want that. I don't want that life. I want to be able to do the things that I enjoy. All right. Maybe I can do some contract work for this. Then I would really like to have a boat for weekends that I can charter fish for people. And I'm sitting there thinking, that's pretty cool. Now, who's buying that boat? Right? But at the same time, I mean, yes, that's always the question, right? Who's going to finance this stuff? But when you look at the direction that his mind is going, so he's looking at it as, okay, well, I'm going to do these things so that I can afford the boat now. I'm going to do these things because that's not working a charter boat on a weekend. I'm going to be out there fishing anyway. I might as well have people and make money while I'm doing it, right? So his mindset is different than my mindset. Right? My mindset was I had to check these boxes and then my life was set. His mindset is I'm going to make my own boxes and I'm going to figure out what exactly it is that makes me happy. And if I'm not happy with it, I'm going to try something else, And I think that's a good thing, just to be clear. The question becomes though, and this is where I think a lot of people hit the wall during COVID. And this was the whole, where's your next check coming from conversation. Mm-hmm. And anytime people are highly motivated to go do something, you're going to get people that are a little shady, right? You're going to get people that are going to oversell you opportunities. In COVID, when people were quarantined, I want to say something like there was like a 6-week period that there were 9 new trading academies that were suddenly all over social media. Some of these people had never traded for a company before. They'd only traded their personal accounts. They didn't know what they were doing. They'd never been properly taught, right? But they were out there selling courses for $5,000, $7,000, $10,000. It was insane, right? So the question becomes, how do you filter through those? How do you filter through different things that are out there to find the ones that are good and that are going to work from you? And I'm talking about all side hustles in general right now. I'm not talking about trading or anything in particular because people have different things, right? My wife has a company that's a skincare line. And it's pretty cool, right? I like the idea of a skincare line. She's a cosmetic chemist, so she actually made all of the stuff herself. We have a factory here in Pompano Beach, and this isn't like a small line. This is a large distributor's line, et cetera. But this grew out of a side hustle of her making the stuff in the kitchen, right? And then she got some customers. She got a couple of hotels on board that wanted to play ball, and then she got a couple more, and then she got a couple more, and then she got a couple more. And guess what happens? Right? You get to your 7th big customer, your 10th big customer, and you find out that you're making money doing things, right? That changes it. But how do you get started? And I think that's the question that a lot of people have. Like when it comes to side hustles, is where do you start? Right? I'm a dad. I'm working a corporate job. Where do I start? Where do I go? And I think, to get started, to get that initial education, to get that initial tease in the industry, of whether it's trading or Amazon stores or wherever. Where do you go to get that? And I think there's something missing in the marketplace, which is kind of like an underwriting for that of this. These are the best. These are the companies that we look into.
I think everybody goes to Instagram, and whatever pops up in their feed first is where they try it.
Ad.
And then once you get into the paid ad, then you're getting 20 more paid ads.
Mm-hmm.
So you were talking about your wife with her skincare company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she started it up because it was something she was passionate about.
Loved, right? She still is.
Still love it now that it is something that requires her to do it every day, to be in it every day. Because my wife, she started a baking company years and years and years ago because she loved to bake and she's phenomenal at it. But after she started fulfilling orders, she's like, I don't love it anymore.
The fun part was a while ago.
And it was just because of the fact that she doesn't love it. She didn't like having to meet all the people, meet all the deadlines and do it. And, oh my God, it didn't look perfect. I got to do it again. And the added stress. So it became a hobby, and now it's only a hobby.
So Shireen, it's funny because she actually had something interesting happen. Have you ever read E-Myth? It's a really great book, E-Myth Revisited. Michael Gerber, I believe, is the author.
Okay.
It's a whole coaching program for entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And the basic idea behind it is most entrepreneurs start their business because they're good at or they like what they were doing. So let's say you are a handyman, okay? And you started your business as a handyman and you were good at it. What happens? You get more customers. You get more customers. You get more customers, right? Let's say you have a skincare line. You get more customers. You get more customers. You get more customers. Well, what happens? Eventually, you've got to hire people to do the business with you. You've got to start building a business behind what you were doing. That's where most people fall off because they don't like the business part of it. They like the activity, or they're good at the activity. So just because you're good as an electrician doesn't mean that you're good CEO of an electric company. Does that make sense? That's sort of the way E-Myth tells the story. So in answer to your question, my wife's mindset is she does not like the business side. She likes the lab. If she could get paid to sit back there and do R&D and to sit back there and to build the formulas, she loves watching the water turn into creams, right? She loves seeing how the process works, the baking, for lack of a better term, right? She loves to see the baking. And she still is extremely passionate about that. Sunday night at 5:00, I can't tell you how many times I've had to go to the lab and drag her home because she's in there having fun doing stuff, right? She still has that, but she doesn't like the business side of it. And I think that's the part of the side gig business that's so appealing, is that it isn't a whole big back room. It isn't a big operating business. It's you and your side gig, right? Now, can it grow into something? Yes, theoretically it can. I mean, there's nothing that says that and God bless you for that successful, right? That's wonderful to be that successful. But there's a lot of things out there that don't necessarily need to grow to that level, and you can still enjoy it and still get passion out of it. I'll tell you, one of my sons is an absolutely phenomenal basketball player, and he was out playing at the courts one day. And I encourage my kids to both work and to play sports. I think they're both really important for development, right? And he was out there playing one day, and a parent came over and said, "Hey, could you teach my daughter how to play a little bit?" And my son's 15, turning 16, and the girl was maybe like 8 or 9 years old, right? So my son showed her, and the woman gave him $20 and said, "Thank you so much." And he goes, "Dad, I can get paid to do this." And I said, "Okay, so what are you going to do with that?" So he took that mindset and then went to start talking to different parents and different things. He coaches kids. He's 15 years old. He charges $20. The kids have a great time, right? His kid's sister goes to his sessions as part of it. And they love it and they have a great time, right? But he just learned a really important lesson. He's passionate about it. He doesn't need another job. Right? How many kids that are making $40, $60 an hour, right?
Yeah,
doing something that they love.
My son is too. My son started doing lacrosse training, and a couple of people around said, "Hey, we know you're only a 16-year-old, but
Doesn't matter.
Can't charge less than a certain amount because it hurts us. It hurts us all. Now,
Right.
one of the things that this show, this platform, this Going Solo Media, this started as a side gig. One show, and now look where it is. It's all over the place. Millions and millions
5
of
million
viewers.
viewers or something like that. It was crazy.
It's absurd. So this started as a side hustle. Why? Because it was something that Cece was passionate about, something that she loved. And again, you find that passion, you find that love, and you hear it all the time. Chase your dreams, find your passion, find your love, and the rest will follow. Okay, find your passion, find your love. It'll make you happy. You still need to make money.
Need to make money.
We got a handful of minutes left, and I want to get into. So what financial security for all? What the heck does that mean?
Okay. So remember we were talking about that dollar figure per hour?
You said 250. Just
whatever it is, 250, 500, $100, 75, 50. I hear different numbers from different people.
Let's do 100 just because it's a simple number.
Yeah, 100. So here's the thing with that number. Finding things that can give you that number. You have to think of it in two stages, right? And I think of it as the lawyer, right, who has to bill per hour. So if you have to bill per hour, you better bill more than what you need, because there's going to be hours you're not working, or theoretically at some point in your life you don't want to work, right?
Correct.
So the problem with that is the lawyer model, in my opinion, is if I need $100 an hour, I better bill $250, because I'm going to have to pay people, I'm going to have to do all these things, and I got to bill for money for when I'm not billing, if that makes sense, right?
Yes, it does. What wasn't it either a Jay-Z or one of that, when I'm not making
money when I'm sleeping. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's the second idea, right? So the second idea, in my opinion, is and this is where it becomes crucial for side hustles. Okay. What can I do as a side hustle where I'm performing or have performed an action that has continuing results? Now, I might have to turn the dials a little bit. I might have to collect some money or change some pricing or chase down some inventory, but I can do something that is working while I'm sleeping. Okay. When people talk about side hustles, to me, that's a real side hustle. A real side hustle is something that I can build and it will run when I'm not there. Okay. Because if I have to be there, all I'm doing is trading time at my job or with my kids or in my yard doing yard work for making a little bit of extra money. And then it just becomes a direct correlation. Is it worth it? Right. But if I can do an activity, and I don't care if it's an extra $100 a month in the beginning, and I can make an extra $100 a month off of activity, but that $100 a month is consistent. Right. And then I could maybe grow that to $500 a month. And that $500 a month becomes consistent month in and month out, where I have a dependable $500 a month coming in. That's a different mindset. And that's always right. That's the appeal with real estate, with rental real estate, right? In theory, right? Is I own an apartment building. It's got 4 units in it, right? And those 4 units, 3 of them should be occupied most of the time, at least theoretically. And I should have a certain amount of rent coming in every month. That's appealing. Do I have to go over there sometimes and deal with issues and stuff? Sure. But that rent's got to get paid every month, at least in theory.
Correct. Right? And sometimes you like it. Hey, there's the shrubs in the front are dead. No problem. I'm going to go out there and do it myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. The dishwasher is leaking. I don't do anything with plumbing. I'm going to send a plumber out there.
But I got a plumber.
Exactly.
So you have
rich dad, poor dad, right?
Rich dad, poor dad. This is exactly what we're talking about. That's exactly, and that's a lot of this was planted in my head from that book. So the way I look at side gigs, right? And if you go to on Zanetti Consulting, I've got a bunch of stuff on there, different businesses that I've got parts of. But one of the most important factors for me was finding businesses and things that I could do where I didn't have to actively every day show up for that 9-to-5 gig, right? That 9-to-5 gig to make a yield. If I had to show up that 9-to-5, that meant I just locked myself into work. I locked myself into work. So when you talk about side hustles, and this is something that I think people really have to change the way their mind works. And I think the younger generation understands this, okay, way better than we do. And that's finding ways to make, even if it's a little bit of residual income, to make residual income. All right. I happen to know trading very, very well just because of the companies that we have. We have two trading companies and a trading computer company. And the biggest thing that the best part of that side of the business is I can put in an hour, 2 hours a day trading max. Rarely is it 2 hours, right? There's stuff I can do that's just putting in time on Friday, and the rest of the week it works out. Okay. There's a new program out called Letter of Direction Trading, which is about as close to fully automated trading as you can get. Okay. So there's things in that field, but here's the part that people don't understand. There's no just free money. You're not going to take your money and put it in. And I had a very long conversation with a real estate developer friend of mine who's preposterously successful, right? Started with nothing, and he's got $100 million plus empire. Okay. And one of the things he said is that anyone who thinks that real estate income, owning apartment buildings and stuff like that, is just passive income. He said there's no such thing. Everything requires work and ongoing work. The question is you want to do as minimum time, effort, and energy as possible to maximize that dollar yield. See where I'm going with this? So those passive income targets are great because once you get to a certain point, you keep working to minimize the work and minimize the work and minimize the work, which maximizes your yield, right? So trading is work in the beginning. You have to learn how to do it, but then you can build systems into trading that slowly automate things until it gets to a point where it's almost completely automated. You're basically checking on the dials, right? You understand what's going on. You're adjusting some different components. Maybe you're adjusting the automated stop and how it goes in, or I call it turning the dials. You get what I mean though, right? So if you can get to that level where you're making those adjustments and it's just a consistent role for you, right? Your mindset is now, okay, I have that. Now, can I go find another side hustle? Can I go find another passive income source that I can build on top of this? So maybe I've got $2,000 a month coming in from this one passive income source. Can I go find another two somewhere else, or another 1,500 somewhere else, or another 500, or another 250 a month, and then build, and then build, and then build. And then, at least the way I see the millennial mindset, which this is one of the things I'm going to tell you, the millennials got this right, is they don't worry about job security. You want to fire them, because guess what? They're going to go over here and they have their passive income from this. They've got their passive income from that. I was speaking to someone who I wanted to hire them, and they were right. There was no incentive for them to come and work for me. And it wasn't about pay. It was about time. I needed more time than they were willing to give. And the only thing that they liked about the conversation is they were looking at me for insurance.
And that's a lot of time. And that's a lot of times. I know people that have done that. Hey, I took a job. Why? I needed insurance. I'm having a baby. I just got diagnosed. I got, okay.
That's the incentive for jobs now. And so going back full circle to what we started the conversation with, which was the going into Chick-fil-A, right? And be nice to our employees, thank them for showing up, right? It isn't that crazy when you think about the world that they grew up in, and the world that they have in front of them, And there's one more thing, because I know we're running short on time, and I think this is a terrible disincentive that we've given to people, and it has to do with social media and information. You can't turn on the news or look at your news feed on your phone and see an athlete that's not making $50 million a year, or an entertainer that got paid $75 million for a movie. And I think, and you see it with entrepreneurs. So-and-so, I just read an article about the CEO of Lucid makes $340 million a year. Okay, Lucid, is Lucid even a profitable company? I don't even know if they're a profitable company. This guy's making $340 million a year.
Or Bosa just signed the largest NFL contract this morning, right?
Yeah.
Great player, but why should he make $75 million a year when the teacher that's teaching my kid is making $50,000, or let's be nice, $75,000? So they're making 1% of what this athlete makes.
Less.
Come on.
1/10 of 1%, right? So you have, and that I think is we're doing something wrong to this generation with this over information about these dollar figures.
Yeah.
And it's preposterous, the size of these dollar figures. Let's just be blunt with each other. $100 million used to be a lot of money. All right. It's still a lot of money to me. You know what I'm saying? So having kids read that and see it and understand that number, I remember having conversations with my dad about how $1 million was a huge amount of money. It's still a huge amount of money. But to kids, it isn't, because they see these athletes that have these numbers and these entertainers. And I think that peeling people away from that mindset and realizing that it's okay. And this is where the last piece on financial security. What is it that you really need to survive on, right? When someone says, oh, I need 10 million, or I need 5 million, I need 2.5 million, how much do you need every month? How much do you need a month to pay all of your bills and have a little bit of fun? Okay. Pay all your bills and have a little bit of fun. Maybe have a little bit left over to kick back into the big bucket, right? So when you talk about retirement, I think we get this thing where you need an infinite supply of money, but you really don't. What is the dollar figure that you need?
And also you need to figure out what it is you're going to, when you retire, what it is you need. Like when I retire, I don't need, I don't know. I won't need certain things,
Yes.
I'll be on Medicare or Medicare. So I'll be on, so I won't have to pay, X amount of dollars a month for health insurance for my family.
And that's huge. And understanding, really sitting down and mapping this stuff out. And I think sometimes people get shy about it. I can tell you my wife is shy about it. She doesn't like to talk about life insurance. She doesn't like to talk about those things because she's like, oh, you're attracting the negativity.
Yep.
But my mindset is I want to put it on paper. I want to figure out, okay, if I were to stop working today, right now, how much would I need every month, right? I don't know how long I need it for.
I'd be broke in 6 months or less. I can tell you that.
Okay. So how much do you need every month to pay all of the bills that you have and to live the lifestyle that you want? Let's talk about not that you want, not that you need to eat ramen and whatever, right? But let's talk about what you actually want.
But also maybe not eating lobster every night for dinner. Maybe you're just going to have a chicken cutlet with a salad and a pasta. There's nothing wrong.
Reverse engineering that mindset. Instead of saying I need $10 million, let's figure out what you need every month.
Exactly.
A lot of companies will use the rule of 4%. I don't agree with that. But let's just say use the rule of 4%. So that's every $1 million, you're making $40,000 a year. So that'll tell you the number of millions you would need according to that rule. Again, I don't agree with that rule. There's a couple of reasons why, but let's just say you back that number in. That's a much different motivation for what your real numbers look like. And suddenly it puts things like retirement in perspective, right? It puts real retirement in perspective. It puts real walking away.
So Mike, so when are you going to retire?
I am retiring at 52 years old. Okay. I'm actually not, this is something I put a lot of thought into. I'm walking away at 52 years old. Now I will never truly completely retire. Okay. But at 52, at 52, I'm going to be writing full time. And I'm going to be doing coaching full time. Not necessarily athlete coaching, but coaching different business owners.
So guess what? Right now, we're going to pretend Mike is 52 years old, and Mike is going to be retired because we ran out of time, and there's our buzzer in the background. We're going to pretend Mike is 52, even though he's a young guy, and he's not 52 yet, and 52 is still young. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have Mike back, hopefully in about 60 days, so that we can continue this more. I usually ask one tough question at the end of the show. I'm going to save that for next time because we did run long, and I don't want to get smacked on the wrist and all this. So so Mike, thank you so much. Zanetti Consulting, Zanetti Consulting.com. You can also check out targettrading.co. Check him out on LinkedIn, I think Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Yep. Check them out, learn what to do, learn a side hustle, learn how to trade. CC, who's in the background, who made this show that started as a side gig with one show, and now look at us now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate all of you. I'll be talking to you a lot more about my book that I'm writing. Hopefully by the end of the year, it'll be done. AskJasonWeiss.com. Everyone have a wonderful weekend and stay safe. We got Hurricane Lee out there. Don't know if it's going to affect any of us, but everybody keep an eye on it. CC, Mike, thank you all.
Jay, thank you, man. Talk to you later.
Pleasure.
Bye.